My name is Diana Zogaric. I own Shaw's Candy in West Portal.
Diversified game. Learn how to start, run, and sustain your business.
Hey, it's Kellen, and today on Diversified Game, I'm like 199 for a reason because everywhere I go, I'm eating. And today's guest, Miss Diane, we went in when I went home to Shaw's Candy. I have a sweet tooth. I'm addicted. I'm working on it every day. But this thing brought me back to the past, and it made me think of like what the shops used to look like versus what a lot of them look like now. So, Miss Diane, I'm welcome to have you on because I could not do your job. I'd eat all my products. Welcome to Diversified Gang.
Thanks. I'm happy to be here.
Can you let us know? Because you weren't always, the candy lady. You were more on the other side, on the filming side and creating side of video. How do you go from that, from Michigan to San Francisco and say, I want to have a candy shop?
Yeah, good question. Common question. I moved to Los Angeles when I was in my 20s, and I did movie trailers there for a long time. Life brought me to San Francisco, where I kind of had to change my path a little bit because there's no movie trailers in San Francisco. So I was doing tech videos and anything I could get my hands on, but also raising my three kids in this adorable little town that I landed in inside of San Francisco called West Portal, the neighborhood. So as I got to know people, there's a really great little corridor here of shops and restaurants. And I would bring my kids into this candy store and think how cool, I mean, no offense to the previous owners, but how cool it could be if somebody came in and gave it a little love and changed it up a little bit and just revamped it, and it had so much potential. So when I heard it was for sale and I was only kind of half doing video and half raising my kids, I just decided to buy it. And then pandemic. So since I couldn't run anyway, right when I bought it, it was just a really good time to remodel it since it couldn't be open anyway. So as construction usually goes, one thing led to another, and it became a complete remodel from end to end. But I really tried really hard to keep the original charm while modernizing it somewhat. So, and I think that we did a really good job of that.
And, there's a lot of people in media. My master's degree is in mass comm, and from going to school to getting, your first job, there's less than three fingers worth of people who have been able to stay in it. And there's somebody listening and saying, how do you go into video, to having a candy shop of all places in San Francisco? Did you hit big like Steven Spielberg, or what was that roadmap? Because a lot of people would think that could never happen to me. I'm working at the news for under, $50,000, and they call me a producer or maybe a director of the show, So can you give us like a blueprint?
That's gotten harder because I'm old, believe it or not. No, and I am. And when I first became an editor and I was doing movie trailers, you needed $100,000 Avid system in order to be a video editor. So it was extremely specialized. And I feel like I kind of got lucky. Like I went from Michigan State, and one of the owners of one of the big trailer companies in LA went to Michigan State, so he would hire grads. And it was just such an up and coming industry with it all switching to digital video editing at the time that I rose through the ranks really quickly. So now, though, like you just said, $50,000 a year, and they want you to produce, they want you to edit, they want you to write, they want you to run a camera. I can't run a camera. Like I just can't. So I have had to shift quite a few times, and moving to San Francisco was a huge blow because movie trailers, all of that is very locked down. So you have to physically be there. You can't really do that remotely. So moving into tech kind of made sense. But yeah, I could kind of see a little bit of a die down in that industry and did know that I needed to diversify. And diversifying meant buying a retail store, which that's definitely not a gold mine. Somebody said to me the other day, like, oh yeah, you're on a gold mine here. And I was like, definitely not. Like maybe a trickle of an income. I definitely work way harder doing this than I ever did in even in Hollywood. So for very little pay. So I guess that maybe on that in that sense, it wasn't like the most sound business decision I've ever made, but it's a really, really like I'd get paid in other ways. Like it's so well loved. And I have all these kids who work for me who are teenagers that I consider to be my own kids. And every day people come into this store that's been here since 1931 and tell me stories of their childhood when they were kids and their grandparents brought them in. So I guess if you look at it that way, like the rewards come in other ways. I don't know if that answers.
Hello everyone, come along with London and Sydney as they show you around the vibrant country of Cameroon. We explore the heart of Africa through the eyes of London and Sydney. Two explorers who journey across the great city of Yaoundé, exploring its rich culture, vibrant market squares, cultural heritage, and wildlife. With giggles and excitement, London and Sydney Explore Cameroon takes you on a fun-filled adventure, providing insight into the country's culture and traditions through the pages of this book. It's packed with exciting stories and super cool facts about Cameroon that will make you go, wow. Get your copy now. Available on Amazon and in libraries near you. There's only one easy way to experience the exploration of Cameroon, and it's through London and Sydney. Don't wait, get yours.
No, it did. And it goes into my next question of what was the purpose? Was it because that you knew they were selling and that maybe they would have made it, a Starbucks or something? Or, what was the purpose of buying it? Or was it to hire kids and keep the legacy going? Because that is a very, old, I believe it is the oldest ice cream shop in at least that area, if not the city.
Definitely candy shop. I'm not sure about the ice cream part of it, but yeah, it was. So I guess I just had a vision of it. I just thought this would be a really fun way to change courses in my life and try to make this work because I did want to keep it alive. There was a lot of hubbub about it closing, and that sounds terrible. And nobody wanted it to close. There's articles about it and all that. And since I had always been thinking about it when I came in the store, how cool it would be to own it and what I would like to do. And I kind of had a vision. I just decided to try it, to go for it and keep it alive. And that's what mostly people thank me for. And there was a lot of discussion too about like, well, they want this much money for the name. Does anybody really care if it's called Shaw's anymore? Could I call it Diana's ice cream, something like that? But so thankful that I kept the name because that's really what people care about more than anything. They don't care about the ice cream as much as they care about Shaw's has been here since 1931. Like that is what people really care about.
What was there like a big fight, and did you have to bid for the business, the location and the name, or what was that process like?
Not really, no. They really needed to get, I think they really wanted out. So there were a couple other people that had come along that were interested. So she told me I was kind of like down the line. There was actually a family member, I think, of Shaw's, like a granddaughter or a niece or something like that, who was very interested. Kind of luckily for me, it was right the beginning of COVID. So most people said, never mind. And they dropped out. And to be honest, the price did go down a bit because of that. And then they were at the end of their lease. So I had to negotiate a new lease, but that also wasn't hard because it was, again, pandemic. So they came down a little bit on the price of the lease because of the timing. So, and I kind of just knew the pandemic wasn't going to last forever. So, and people were still going to eat ice cream. So I really wasn't that worried about the pandemic part of it. So I kind of got lucky a little bit there.
Okay, and some might listen to this. I sometimes can hear the listeners and say, wow, she's either crazy or she just knows that business. What got you prepared to understand and learn that business? Had you already taken, classes, courses, worked for another company or that company to be able to take it during COVID is really bold.
Yeah, it was bold, and probably the crazy is the more Best description. I never did anything like this before. I never worked in a store even. Like I worked at Burger King when I was in high school. And since then I hadn't worked in any retail. I didn't know how to run a point of sale system. My sister had an MBA from Georgetown and said, I don't think you should be doing this right now. She's like, what's your business plan? Where's your business model? This is why I'm saying no one should listen to me. My business plan was, I knew it was a pandemic. I could only have 2 customers at a time. So I knew that I had some time to learn it slowly rather than getting this influx of customers and being like, oh my God, I don't know how to handle all of this. So my business plan was to give it a year and see how it went and then adjust accordingly, which is that's not a smart business plan. But I did have the previous owners introduce me to all of their vendors. I met this one vendor of hers that she helped me with. Okay, this is what she like. I didn't know I had to order Christmas like 9 months in advance, like the candy and all the stuff. I wouldn't have known that, but luckily I had some guidance from previous owner and then some of the vendors, and Mitchell's is where I get my ice cream from. They guided me a lot. There was a lot of equipment already here, so I kind of already had like an ice cream freezer, so I knew exactly how many ice creams to get, and they showed me which ones were the most popular. So I really got a lot of support from the vendors around town, from the merchants that are around me, and that's what really helped.
You've tried it your way and you're still in debt? Or maybe you're doing okay, but want to invest smarter and grow faster? 𝐿X.AI gives you step-by-step strategies to ditch debt or stack wealth. Stop dreaming, start planning. Visit 𝐿X.AI today. I want you to be the next millionaire next door.
Wow. And, were there any books that helped you with that and kind of learn, or was it all just kind of hit and miss and what the previous owners and what previous Burger King experience told you about profit margin?
Burger King did not help me at all. It was, well, my sister who had the MBA from Georgetown, she made me do these massive spreadsheets and said, put this in here and put that in there. And we figured out pricing and all of that kind of stuff. And she made me read this, like, how to build a business plan, just super basic book, which I did. I went to the city. They have a small business planning commission there, and they kind of, gave me some guidelines on that. And I had a lot of people honestly drop by and be like the designer, the guy who helped me design this place was like, I normally design lobbies for Four Seasons hotels, but right now, since the pandemic, I'm not doing anything. Can I help you with your design? So that was really helpful. So I just got a lot of help from the community, and I reached out to a lot of people that I knew. And so that helped a lot.
Awesome. Now I noticed you guys have Dubai chocolate, and we travel with the London and Sydney team that you saw me with often, and we haven't been to Dubai yet, but the Dubai chocolate craze, can you talk about that? Because I find it funny that Americans especially, like, we are loving this Dubai chocolate. Oh, I got Dubai chocolate, the luxury of it. But I think, the one that I know of when I first heard about it overseas, Dubai chocolate uses camel milk, which is something most Americans would run from if you said, hey, I have some camel milk. So can you talk about the Dubai chocolate craze and what you're serving there so they can come get a good version of Dubai chocolate?
They definitely must have Americanized it because there's no camel milk in the recipe. So I got, I've got teenagers working for me and this and that, and they constantly are telling me what's hot and what's popular on TikTok, and like Swedish candy. All of a sudden, those wax bottles from when we were kids that have like the liquid inside are crazy popular all of a sudden. So Dubai chocolate was one of them. So I started to buy the bars and resell the bars. And then I make my own fudge. And I just had this idea that if I did a center filling of the Dubai filling sandwiched between the chocolate fudge, that it would be popular. And it is so popular. And so it's pistachio. It's I forget the name of the shredded phyllo dough. And that's basically it, a little bit of cream, and that's the middle of it. And people love it so much. And maybe it is the exotic thing, or just it's so perfectly crunchy with the pistachio taste and the chocolate, they just balance each other so well. I really feel like I should probably expense a business trip to Dubai in order to research it myself. That sounds like something that I could write off of my taxes.
Definitely. So, I mean, and that's an important thing for all you entrepreneurs. If you want to go somewhere and, it's a business expense.
Yeah.
With that, you said making your own fudge. Running a store is enough for anybody. What else are you making? What hours do you find to make your own fudge? That's not simple. That's not easy.
Yeah, it's not. No, I definitely stay later in the evenings to make the fudge because I usually work during the day and let teenagers work at night, and that's when I make fudge. I make a few other things. I make the little like nonpareils. I most of it I outsource, and I want to. One of the things I'd really like to do is kind of do what you're doing and get some interviews going. And I'd like to interview like a chocolatier and get a little bit of tips on tempering chocolate properly. So that I can make more things. But I do make the fudge, and then I host parties. And I had this idea to remodel this back room that's here. So I did. And then I host birthday parties and meetings and other things on the weekends in the back room. Just because like running a small business. So I realized early on, talking about business plans, that I cannot count on people walking through the door to buy an ice cream, even though I'm an ice cream store. Like that seems silly, but the weather changes, people go out of town. San Francisco is really foggy and cold in the summers. And I needed a better business plan than just people walking through the door and buying an ice cream every day. Because, people are fickle. And if there's construction on the street, they won't stop by because they can get a parking spot. So I really needed a business plan that involved more like just frankly high ticket. An ice cream costs $6, but a birthday party costs $600. So I really needed stuff like that. And I still think that there's a lot of growth opportunity that I haven't even tapped into yet in those sort of markets, like gift boxes for corporate events. And right now my fudge, the Dubai fudge, is actually at the San Francisco airport being sold by one of the stores. So I do a little bit of wholesale there. And all of that kind of stuff is really what propels me into profitability, or else I don't even know if the store would have made it just by people walking through the door and eating candy and ice cream.
Wow, that's the part for, whether you are a candy shop, ice cream shop, even gas stations. People think, oh man, you guys are making all this money and don't understand. There's a reason why you see the owner constantly working, especially in the beginning stages, to get to, the wholesale. People can buy even online and they can have it shipped to them. I want to throw that out now. So if you guys hear us talking about this fudge, you can get it and you can go to the website wherever you are experiencing this. You can go click in the description and see at 𝐬𝐮candy.com. But again, hold on. Now I'm thinking you might be crazy because you got the shop, you're making the fudge, you're wholesaling it out to the airport, which is a government RFP. I am sure they didn't just give it to you and say, hey, bring your stuff. You had to fight for that. Can you talk about that? Because that's like a whole nother business. They got companies that's all they got one person who does that, and then another person fulfills it. But what made you go after the government space and how did you find that out?
Well, it's a store inside of the airport. And I think that they're really invested I've seen it in a lot of airports in bringing in local products. So, think about it. You went to San Francisco and you forgot to get your aunt something and you meant to. So you pick up whatever you see at the airport that says San Francisco on it. So you can say you brought a souvenir from San Francisco. So that is, but there's a chocolate shop at the San Francisco airport in one of the terminals. So they're the ones who reached out to me. No, they didn't reach out to me. I had a friend. I have good friends. Went in there. I'm like, you should sell my friend's fudge in this store. So that's how that happens. And then like I said, I should be doing more. Like there's got to be other avenues where I could be selling. Like I've seen like local grocery stores and things like that, but I haven't, because like you said, I'm doing everything, right? So I'm the event planner, I'm the fudge maker, and I'm working behind the counter because the expenses, like payroll is the biggest expense that I have. So the best way for me to cut my costs is for me to work behind the counter. And I don't tend to pay myself very much, but yeah, that's with like some of the times when I'm out of town visiting my family or whatever, my payroll goes whoop, like so high because I'm not here personally. So yeah, that's a big expense.
And expenses, you talk about hiring youth. Have you looked at like any of the IOA grants that allow, the government says, hey, train these people, or if you take on these youth, we'll give you these youth for free. And there's all type of government stuff always for kids to get employment and reoffenders and that all type of other people. But have you gone after any of that stuff? Because by gosh, you're doing a lot.
Yeah, there was one. I did have a girl once from a thing called Sprouts, and they the same. That's like that. It's training for not necessarily underprivileged. In her case, she had some mental health issues that caused her to not be able to work I hired her, they paid her basically. So she was like an intern to me. And yeah, she was really great. I loved having her. And I could definitely be doing more of that.
Okay. And we talk about this. Some people don't know. They're like, what do you mean? The government will give you people and they pay them, and they don't come in with experience usually, people. I'm gonna let you know. Don't think you're about to get somebody from Stanford or MIT to come in for that. But it's cool if for certain roles. But you have
Yeah.
yeah. You have so much experience, and we talked about this in person in our short meeting. The cameras, I could see the cameras up on your ceiling in your playroom. Maybe it's an add-on for families who want to capture their party and they want to do more than just their phone, are coming in for a podcast. Where are you with creating a space where you can interview people, feature people, educate people, even the youth, because there's money in that too, holding space to have the youth come and learn different things, just with speakers. I mean, the government knows how to spend money in all ways.
Yeah. I haven't really done much of that, to be honest, but I feel like that back room that I have is a blank slate. Like I would love to have a lot of times I'll let nonprofits use it, and then I'm not going to charge you to use the space, maybe buy an ice cream, things like that. So I definitely could be doing more in that area. Right now it's just been like Boy Scouts and youth groups and things like that. But yeah, like I know there's like David Eggers, do you know who he is, a writer? He has a space in San Francisco, and he has youth groups and writing and writing workshops and things like that. If somebody wanted to use it for that, I would definitely be willing to promote it for that.
Now you're going to have all the interesting characters that San Francisco have and say, we would like to use it. And again, and I say interesting characters because you can be a grown person and come have a My Little Pony place. There's no judgment. You can, there's some interesting stories that we heard.
Yeah. A couple weeks ago, I had an adult birthday party, and I have sort of like a template for the kid birthday parties, but this adult man said, I want that for my birthday party. So they came in and they made candy just like the kids do. And we had pizza and played music, and it was a blast. And they were all so excited. Like I tried to gear it a little bit more about chocolate making and that for adults, but like that was fabulous. It was so fun. It was a blast.
Well, you've talked a lot about your community engagement. So maybe there's a new one, but I ask everybody what their community give back that they're doing or one that they would like to do in the future. And we'd like to know, how can the community help you with that? So please share with us any other give backs that you haven't shared already.
Yeah, there's a lot of kids around here. There's a lot of schools. I'm kind of in the more residential area of the city of San Francisco. So I'm always giving gift cards to their silent auctions and things like that. So I'm always happy to do that. Sometimes I even donated a whole party. I bring my ice cream cart places and for profit, but then sometimes just to hand out ice cream. at local events. Like the library had a 50th anniversary event a couple months ago, and I just brought my ice cream cart and handed out ice cream to the kids that were there. So so far it's just been kind of like more like very kind of central to where my community is. But I'm always happy to help out in the city. Anything, I never say no to a request for a gift card or something like that for events at schools, and not just schools, like community neighborhood events that they'll host around town.
Okay, so it sounds like, the community could help sponsor those gift cards or something, and maybe, being fancy, they put their business name on it. I don't know.
They
Yeah.
do. If there's a program for the event, they usually put my name in it. And honestly, the best way community can help is just tag us on Instagram, say you had a good experience here. I think that the best thing for me, like when you guys came in, is people who come in who aren't from my neighborhood. Like, how did you guys even know to come into my store? Did you Google it, or how did you get here?
Because when you lock yourself out of your fancy Airbnb and have to run over to San Francisco, and your wife says, "Oh, we're just around the corner from from a ice cream shop on Yelp," and I'm like, "Okay, we got 10 more meetings to do this day, but let's go." So that's how, just Yelp.
But Yelp, see, so that helps a lot. Like, I have a pretty decent following on Instagram, but I never really looked at the demographics, but I would guess 90% of them live within a mile of my store. So like, getting people from other areas, other parts of San Francisco, even like West Portal is the cutest little neighborhood. But if you live in the Tenderloin, you've never heard of it. If you live in the Marina, you're like, who goes out there? That's really far. And it's not far. It's a mile and a half, but it feels like another world. So like my dream is for people to be like, I heard they have Dubai chocolate at this place across town, Dubai fudge. Let's go there. And then it becomes like, a thing or whatever, but it's not happening yet. But that would be fabulous.
Are you a successful entrepreneur or one in training? You've got the vision, but do you have the right partner to build your brand, your team, and your future online and off? At 𝐶PRfirm.com, we offer expert consulting, financial guidance, and life coaching because we believe in doing life with our clients. After all, what is it for a man to gain the world and lose his soul? Founded by 𝐾𝐿 Coleman, we help our clients not only succeed, but plan to retire rich. Your business deserves the best. Start building your legacy today at 𝐶PRfirm.com.
Well, and I'm glad you said that, because the Bay Area is so big to where it's, to not be in San Francisco, you got to have a reason to go to the cloudy, the cold, sometimes San Francisco, and then the Tenderloins. This is for what? Especially back in the day. My gosh. Supposed to say, go where? We might get pulled over just thinking about going over there if there's 3 of us, because 3 is the gang.
Yeah.
But with that, and you said the Instagram, I could see like the Boy Scouts having their pictures or having their meetings or going live, and you guys collabing so that can go up, because groups like the Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, in 10 years, those all might be like robot scout leaders, for all we know. And robot kids saying, hey, we're here, but we're not here. We're, at home. Like, you're really capturing and keeping alive a part of history that, again, it reminded me of Lord's ice cream. And I don't know if you've ever been to Lord's, but we had a Lord's in my neighborhood when I grew up, or for some other Baskin Robbins, but it didn't remind me of Baskin Robbins, but of Lord's. But what about capturing that history and putting it, since you are into film, I want to say a book as well. Are there any plans to document what you've done thus far?
I really should. It's kind of like how video editors never edit their own wedding videos. Like, I feel like I can do an Instagram channel for a tech company all day long, and I don't do it as much for my own business as I do for others. I do, but I think that that is a great idea, and I would love to do that. I actually told my kids I wanted to do like a podcast or a video podcasts like this where I interview like a chocolatier, maybe a business planner from the city, maybe an old customer was coming here and they're 50 years ago with their grandparents. And my kids say, Mom, don't do that. Nobody wants to hear you and all, that's just my kids. But I think it'd be really cool to get, and for me to like be exploring the history of Shaw's even more than I already have and documenting that. And somebody had said to me too, like, when people come in and tell you stories from the past of Shaw's, why don't you just can you say that on camera? And I'm like, yes, that's what I need to do. That would be so cool, to get all these stories from people recorded while it's still around.
Yes, and kids don't know because if you would have asked them, hey, you think I should have you when you had them, but it's not the perfect moment, they would have been like, wait, you mean I wouldn't be here if it was some funky type of Twilight Zone movie? Like, kids don't know. And like Steve Jobs said, and I'm paraphrasing, a lot of times people don't know what they want until you show it to them. So, just
kids never think their own parents are cool, but like, we're cool, right? You're cool. I'm cool.
I'm so cool. I made LondonandSydney.com and highlight books that are sold in libraries and Amazon. And you guys go request those books from the library. But it's like I don't know why you don't think I'm cool. I'm the coolest. That's why you're traveling the way you are,
Right. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Ask them, is my fudge cool? When, they did not to give it back. But I'd love to see that. I would love to see it. I would watch it because I'm always wanting to learn and being a student, and that it wouldn't be difficult for you to do. You're already doing 100 things anyway.
Yeah, that is true. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Is there any way that people can come in as a group, or maybe you'll have a class where people can learn how to make their own fudge and the different treats that you make?
That is always something that I think about doing, yeah, because when people will come and book events, but like, why aren't I just hosting events? Like, hey, I keep thinking about doing things like, drop your kids off on a Friday and I'll teach them how to make stuff while your parents go out to dinner, and adults too. Like, yes, no, I am not doing that, but I definitely should. That's a really good idea, and I think about it a lot. Mom's night outs and that, where we could do, I have done that. I've done a little bit of like a mom's night out and everybody comes and makes chocolate turtles, caramel and nuts and chocolate. So more of that would be really cool.
Yeah, and the funding for that, whether it's, parents, grandparents, night outs, I love that. But also, again, going back to government RFPs, they always have something. Organizations get a lot of money to be able to teach people something. And so, always start local, asking your Apex Accelerator, your SCORE, and your SBA, local SBA person. What is something that you think or how long do you think you'll do this for? Like, what's your exit plan now? Not in the beginning, but now, what's the exit plan? Will you do this until, you can't do it anymore? Or is there, I want to get to a certain number, then I'd like to sell and give it to the right hands of someone local? What's your plan?
That's a really good question, and something that I think about a lot. I still think there's a lot to do here, and I want to keep doing what I'm doing, and a lot of these ideas that I have in my head that I haven't executed yet, and really get it to the max of profitability and community involvement and all that. It just on a personal level, my daughter, my youngest kid is just starting her senior year in high school, and I don't really have family, and I have tons of friends and I love San Francisco, but I didn't end up here. I don't have family here. So I would like to be able to spend more time with my family back in Michigan, and housing and everything is so expensive in San Francisco. I don't know how long. I just simply want to live in the city. I shouldn't say that. I love it here. It's fabulous. But my exit plan involves more on a personal level, how long I want to stay in Francisco. And that would involve selling the business. At some point, I had talked to somebody about transitioning it slowly. So I would always have a say and a stake and be sort of like the face of Shaw's. And then like over a 5-year plan, maybe like a little bit more ownership given to them every year for about 5 years but that didn't work out. But something like that sounds like a good plan for me. It takes a lot of energy and a young person to like kind of be here every day and on top of all of the ordering and all of the making of fudge like we talked about, and that it's like my as long as I can keep up the energy, I'm happy to do it, but we'll see.
And it makes sense. And for, this is the audience that always wants to hear about, Kelly, give us a business in a box. Well, that's a business already established in a box. So you guys can go reach out if you are able to handle San Francisco. For me, San Francisco, beautiful place. Your area, beautiful area. But you always too, and you can speak to it or not, the challenges of the community is always going to be something, whether it's community of, coming in every day or kids wilding out. You also have the homeless in San Francisco, which that can go, either or depending on where they are and how the government is handling that. But can you tell the people like your biggest challenge yet that you've had and, how you've overcome?
Yeah, well, first I'll say I just came as we were getting on here from a city planning meeting because they want to upzone. Well, we have to. We need more housing. We need more affordable housing in the city. But of course, it can affect small businesses if all of a sudden there's a bunch of construction going on around me and somebody says, I can't get down the street. I don't need ice cream. I'm not a necessity, like you need to get your prescription filled. You need to go to the doctor, but you don't need an ice cream. So the building next to me decides to go up 8 stories, and that's a year and a half of construction that's going to affect my business. So definitely I get involved a lot with the city, and I'm at city planning meetings and that just to kind of try to like protect my little bubble here of my little tiny business and hope that it doesn't get pushed out because a year of bad business could shut me down, But yeah, so my biggest challenge has been safety. I was assaulted almost 2 years ago now and pushed to the ground with a head injury by somebody who was sitting outside my store, and I politely asked him to move on, which I often do. Hey, the little kids are coming. They like to sit on this little bench. I have this sort of like the Shaw's bench that everybody knows that you sit and eat ice cream on. And he shoved me to the ground and assaulted me and then came into my store and assaulted my manager and another elderly woman. And so that was an isolated incident in how violent it was, but it's not an isolated incident in the sense that I do feel like I need to live really close. Sometimes the teenagers who work for me call me and say somebody just came in, they're throwing things, they're yelling, they're stealing, a lot of stealing. So safety is my biggest concern. Therefore, that becomes my biggest challenge because of what happened to me. I just want the teenagers who work here to always be safe. And I can't really afford to always have 2 people on. I feel a lot better if there's 2 versus 1. But that's like we talked about, payroll is so expensive. I can't always have 2 people on. And that's not sustainable. So yeah, that is my biggest challenge is safety. And I could tell you like probably 30 stories of times where I had to run down here because the kids didn't feel safe.
Which is unfortunate, but it's not unique to California due to certain laws. I'm not being from there. I'm just saying, you guys, in Florida, our governor, which I'm no fan of any politicking, but you can now run over protesters if they're in the way. So you can see the apples and oranges.
I know, it's terrible. Like, yeah, but we have a new mayor. Hopefully he's been trying to do a lot. He's very receptive. He comes in my store a lot, buys candy, and he always listens to me when I when I talk or complain or get political or whatever. So obviously that's goes back to the housing as well. We want to house our unhoused folks in this city, and we do care. And just sometimes it doesn't happen quickly.
Before we end, someone had a question and in a conversation, and I'd just like you to clarify, at least for your situation. They say, well, all the stealing in California, they can just write it off on their taxes and it won't impact their business. And I said, oh, you don't have a store. No. So can you tell me if they were right or wrong? Because I said they were wrong, and no, you don't understand, and it went into something I didn't want to go into, but
One thing, it's not dollar for dollar. We all know what it's like to take deductions on your taxes. It's a deduction, but it's not a dollar for dollar. You don't get the money right back dollar for dollar. So no. And then two, I don't know. I guess it'd be a lot easier if this was a jewelry store and I would know my exact inventory, but I take bigger bags of candy and I bag them into smaller bags and this and that. And maybe it's on me, but I don't have like perfect inventory of every single thing that comes and goes from my store. So, and it would be hard for me to track that enough to put it on my taxes. No, I don't see how that is a justification for theft. Absolutely not.
okay. Hey, and yeah, if it was a jewelry store, you'd have another type of guy hit you and say, "Hey, we got a big every week. We'll keep you safe."
But then that's our gear was like, I'm not a jewelry store. Like, if they're gonna steal this candy, I guess let them have it. Like, it's just a couple bucks. But I'm not like, I get mad. I would chase people down the street. And I'm like, give it back. I don't. It's just the principle of it. Like, because I'm not Starbucks. Not that you should steal from Starbucks, but I'm just me. You're stealing from me, and I work my butt off for everything in this store. So don't steal from me. You go steal from Walgreens. Don't steal from Walgreens. But if you're gonna steal from Walgreens. Don't steal from me.
It would be awesome if they were stealing, if you're able to say, "Hey, you're gonna take something or take these candies too," and it'd be like some X-Lax Pepto-Bismol candy, and if you did follow them, you see the result. I mean, that would go viral on YouTube and TikTok. Folks are, oh wow, they got it.
Oh my gosh. I'd also have a mob outside my store shutting me down for abusing my customers.
Well, those aren't customers if they're stealing, Yeah. And you probably, though, there'd be more news, negative and positive, saying, how could you do that to this poor person who came and stole from you? And then, unfortunately, in San Francisco, from what I've heard, I haven't seen it, they might relieve themselves right there in front of the store in another business.
Yeah, very well might. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sorry, audience. You didn't think it was going to go there, but I got to give you the full picture of a business owner. And yeah.
So I'll just tell you a quick story. One time this guy stole a bunch of stuff and I had this young boy working for me and the guy was just putting things in his backpack. So the kid says, I'm calling 911. I locked the door. Undo your backpack or I'm not letting you out of the store. The guy takes like one thing out. They get in a little bit of a altercation. The guy runs the back of my store through and out a window. I swear to God, this big. And he's going to go down and it's like a 10-foot drop back there. So now all of a sudden the kid is holding the guy's feet going, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. It's just candy. You're going to get hurt. And his shoes end up in my store. The guy goes down out the window. Like, I think he broke his foot or something. And the cops pick him up. But the neighbors behind me had a ring camera, a security camera. So they had the whole thing on camera of this guy going out my window and the other kid holding his feet. And so I could have gotten in so much trouble for that. Honestly, you can't lock somebody in and you can't, I don't know, you have to be careful. Like, I could have gotten in a lot of trouble. I was like, don't ever lock anybody in the store. It's just candy. Let them take it, But it's so funny, the video of the guy holding the feet.
Yeah. And when you described that story, I thought of A Bronx Tale. And in that bar scene when Sonny did that. And it's very, I'm glad he wasn't too hurt because the police or somebody could have said, are you sure he just threw himself out the window? Oh man, but that's the power of the camera and your neighbors. Like, putting that on Instagram, this is what the masses want to see. Unfortunately, that's where we are.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm coming back, you guys. I'm back into reality. But if you can let the people know where you are located, your hours, give them all your information. And before we wrap up.
Sure. So I am at 122 West Portal Avenue, sort of on the south side of San Francisco. And we are open 11 to right now 9:30 daily. I might switch it up an hour for when daylight savings ends, but and then I have 𝐬𝐮𝐿.com where you can order and I can ship out anywhere or deliver locally as well.
You guys have got the game. I know most of you are listeners, but go over to YouTube and give it a like, comment, and share, because that will help us all in this, getting more stories like this. This story is hopefully showing you how and what you might have to put up with. But guess what? We got to end it because she's about to open her doors. And so you guys, thank you for supporting, sharing the game. It will change someone's life. You guys be blessed.
Are you tired of the rat race in America? Are you ready to visit the motherland to relax and rejuvenate? Are you ready to explore all that Africa has to offer? Then check out the brand new Diversified Game Academy course, Prepare for My First Trip to Africa. Are you worried about being able to afford the trip? We got you. We will show you how to travel either on a budget or as a baller. Learn how to stress the value of the USD. Did you know that 100 United States dollars is worth over 1,000 South African rand, or 10,000 Kenyan shillings, or 54,250 West African CFA? Are you worried about taking your kids? Get the game from 𝐾𝐿, a bona fide world traveler, having traveled to almost 20 countries, several of those in Africa. Get the game on taking your kids on their first trips. Learn how to find the best tickets, get the visas, and plan your own adventures in Africa. Don't let Eddie Murphy have all the fun. Plan your own coming to Africa trip starring you, produced by you, and featuring you. If you are ready for a life-changing experience, sign up for our course today, Diversified Game Academy. Get prepared and purchase at diversifiedgame.com.